Course title, Fundamentals of Education. Course No. Ed 418 Nature of Course, Theoretical. Level, B.Ed. Credit hours, 3. Semester, first teaching hours, 48. Course description. This course is designed to orient the students to theoretical and fundamental characteristics of education. It also deals with philosophical and sociological approaches to education. Similarly, it covers educational thought of prominent educationists including recent trends of educational development in Nepal. The course intends to develop an insight into the students in relation to basis of education focusing on interactive participation of both the students and teachers. General objectives. The course is designed with the following general objectives. To develop broader understanding on basis of education. To familiarize the students with the approaches to education. To assist the students to analyze the philosophical base of education within different schools of philosophy. To develop students' knowledge on the sociological basis of education and identify its possible use in education. To acquaint the students with basic educational thought of prominent educationists. To make the students competent in reviewing the trends of educational development in Nepal. Specific objectives and contents. Specific objectives. Contents. Clarify the concept of education as a discipline. Describe the characteristics of discipline. Elaborate the meaning of education. Define education. Explain the forms/types of education. State the nature of education. Unit I, Education as a Discipline, 8. Meaning of education as a discipline. Characteristics of discipline. Meaning of education. Etymological. Narrow. Broader. Definitions of education. Major forms/types of education. Informal. Formal. Non-formal. Nature of education. Direct and indirect. Individual and collective. General and specific. Explain the concept of approaches to education. Clarify concept of open and distance education and continuing education. State the process of open and distance learning. Elaborate needs of continuing education and skill-based and competency-based approaches to education. Draw implications of skill-based and competency-based approaches to education. Unit 2 Approaches to Education, 5. Open and distance learning. 2.2.1 Concept. 2.2.2 Process. 2.2.3 Learning materials. Continuing education. Concept. Needs. Skill-based and competency-based approaches to education. Concept. Needs. Classroom implication. Clarify concept, branches, and functions of philosophy. Relate philosophy with education. Compare schools of philosophy in terms of its premises, objectives, curriculum, educative process, curriculum, role of teacher and student. Derive implications of philosophy of education for today's classroom teachers. Unit 3, Philosophical Perspectives on Education, 14. Concept, branches, and functions of philosophy. Relation between philosophy and education. Schools of philosophy, philosophical premises, objectives of education, educative process, curriculum, role of teacher and student in idealism, naturalism, realism, pragmatism. 3.4 Implications of schools of philosophy for classroom teachers. Relate sociology with education. Describe concept and modes of socialization as a base of education. Illustrate the agencies of socialization. Explain concept and importance of social interaction as a base of education. Explain the patterns of social interaction as a base of education. Classify social interaction. Derive implications of sociological base of education for schools. Unit 4, Sociological Perspectives on Education, 8. 4.1 Relation between sociology and education. 4.2 Socialization as a base. 4.2.1 Concept. 4.2.2 Modes. Agencies of socialization. Active agencies. Passive agencies. Social interaction, concept and importance. 4.6 Implications of sociological basis of education for school. Explain Eastern and Western educational thought in relation to aims, curriculum and educative process. Unit V, Educational Thought, Concept and Educational Implications, 4. Eastern Thought. Western Thought. Overview the trends of educational development in Nepal to identify the modern basis of education. Unit 6, Shaping and Reshaping Educational Development in Nepal, 9. Nepal National Education Planning Commission, NEP, 2011 B.S. National Education System Plan, NESP, 2028 B.S. National Education Commission, NEC, 2049 B.S. School Sector Reform Plan, SSRP, to Post-SSRP, From Access to Quality. 6.5 Integrated Approach to Education, Special Needs Education, Technical Education. Note, the figures in the parentheses indicate approximate teaching hours for respective units. Instructional techniques. The following modes of delivery can be used by the teacher as instructional strategies in the classroom. General instructional strategies. Lecture with the use of multimedia projector. Discussion. Question-answer. Brainstorming. Specific instructional techniques. The following techniques will be used for active participation of students in learning process. Unit. Activity and instructional techniques. 2. Groups of students will visit educational institutions with open and distance learning, ODL, program to identify their implementation procedures. The groups will prepare and present a brief report on implementation procedures of ODL program in the class, followed by discussion, and teachers' comments and suggestions. Groups of students will prepare and present a comparative report on differences between skill-based and competency-based approaches to education, followed by discussion and suggestions. 6. Groups of students will study different reports ranging from NEP to post-SSRP to identify their milestones. Each of the groups will share the milestones, characteristic features, of these reports in the class.